So here we are for the fourth and final game of this evening. That's going to finish the round of 8 of the first season of the playoffs of the first season of the Female Starcraft League. Spawning to the top left hand side in blue, playing for Euronics Gaming, we have our Terran player Sylvanas. And to the bottom right hand side in purple, playing for Rival Gaming as Protoss, it's Koshkii. So unfortunately for the whole playoff thingy and how it was supposed to be, Koshkii actually had to forfeit 4 of her season games due to personal stuff that just got in the way, unfortunately. So normally she would probably be on a higher ranking than she actually is. So right now we have actually the the player in 3rd place, which is Sylvanas, playing against the player in 6th place, which is Koshkii. But normally these two would have probably never even faced each other in a round of 8, because we can actually suppose that Koshkii would have probably gotten a rank very well, a lot higher than the actual one she got. So of course it's a bit sad for Sylvanas, because normally ranking high should actually give you an advantage in the round of 8 by the seeding that's done, where the first place gets seeded against the person in 8th place, and then the second place gets seeded against the player in 7th place, and so on. But unfortunately for her right now, she didn't really get that advantage at all, since Koshkii is still a very capable Protoss player, and maybe even stronger than Sylvanas in that regard. So yeah, it was a bit unfortunate. I will probably have a look at the rules and how we are going to organize such a thing in the next season around. But that's what first seasons are there for, to find all the little things you actually want to change. But still, Sylvanas has her chance here. We don't want to call her out too early here. I mean, Koshkii is a capable player, and I think Sylvanas' matchup versus Protoss is actually her worst. But she might have prepared accordingly, and we will see if she will be able to pull something out of her sleeves in order to defeat Koshkii in this best of 5. So in the meantime, not really much is happening. Both players just expanding, trying to get their tech up. For Protoss, it's the usual Twilight Council, and Robo, usually the other way around. It's and it is done like that. I just stated it the wrong way. So we have Robotics Bay and then into Twilight Council. You want to have the Robotics Bay out as soon as possible, because you normally want to have some sort of detection if your opponent was playing with mines. In this case, Sylvanas isn't. She just went right into a tech lab. Maybe wants to switch out these two after the cyclone has been done. But yeah, Sylvanas is always, or has always been, very paranoid of warp prism drops. So that's why she usually just gets out a cyclone first, and to just shoot down a pesky warp prism with the help of the lock-on. And it might actually work out for her quite well, because Koshkii is already producing a Dark Shrine and is also going for a Warp Prism. So actually this build by Sylvanas might just blind counter that of her opponents. But of course, Koshkii also is quite aware of what... And this is just barely... Okay, nice. Just barely sees the Dark Shrine over here. It just comes to, we just don't know if Sylvanas actually clicked on it, or if she just saw that small little circle back here. But yeah, like I said, I mean, she's already prepared quite a bit. No, she's seen it, definitely. She is now already producing a lot of missile turrets, one at the entrance, so that it can just be taken out by the units in the bunker and outside. And if Koshkii just tried to set some DTs into the middle, or send some DTs into the middle lines. There are also turrets in place over there. So there it is, the warp in. Koshkii does not really know what her opponent has been doing so far, so she won't really be prepared for that Cyclone. And now we'll see whether the Sylvanas actually reacts fast enough and will just be able to take it down. Okay, just scans, takes out the DT. Unfortunately not quite, because DTs, even if uncovered or even if detected, still deal a lot of damage. Okay, finally just barely takes it out before the scan is just out of energy, but the Warp Prism is safe. Unfortunately, Koshkii can't really get her DT back inside it early enough before it gets taken down, but of course she will still be able to do some harassment if she decides to. In the meantime, we have a third command center coming up for Sylvanas, also third base already down for Koshkii while she was harassing with her units at the front. So yeah, actually Koshkii is looking quite okay. She now gets into the Zealot leg speed, and also the weapons upgrade for her units. Also produces a few robotics facility units, namely the Immortal, and also tries to deal some more damage with the help of this Dark Templar, and again just gets it into the base. The Marines just run back to the vision range of that turret over here, but the DT is not following. Okay, one scan just has to be used once more in order to take it down. Always annoying for a Terran player if you just have to use that many scans that early in the game, because you already feel behind economically anyways, and you don't really want to waste these scans on scanning DTs, but what can you do? I mean, you really have to get rid of them. Finally, one missile turret gets thrown down here as well. There's one Widow Mine in place, just in case the Warp Prism tried to fly in from a different angle, but yeah, actually Koshkii has already gotten what she wanted to do with her push, is just being left in peace. The only thing that could actually be quite problematic for Koshkii is of course the incoming push with the help of the Liberators. It's only one Liberator yet, but it's also a lot of Widow Mines in the mix, and we only have, well, actually it still has not finished yet, and also no combat shield. Is it even in the making? Yes, there it is. Okay, both of them at the same time. So I feel if Sylvanas just wants to push out right now, or even a DT in place, that's always so friggin' annoying if there's just one DT somewhere random hidden on the map, or actually it's not random, it's just random spot. Okay, actually, who has to be careful here? The Liberators right out in the open might even get shot down before it can even siege down here. Okay, just tries to siege up, but it gets just shot down immediately, and suddenly this push has just lost all of its potential here. So more barracks are incoming. We also have a sensor tower over here, so Sylvanas will realize from where her opponent's units are actually coming. But this push, I don't actually know if she can hold it. I mean, what does she have? She really has to burrow this mines over here. Is there an observer in the mix? There actually is. So she would have the possibility to just take this out, but with the help of a Liberator or maybe even another one, she should be able to hold for now. Koshkii just doesn't want to risk it. She might have just barely enough to take out that army, but why risk it if you're just so far ahead anyways? So yeah, just not wanting to take the risk, and Sylvanas is still still has to deal some damage some way, and I don't really see her doing it right now. This drop might be helpful, but there are also cannons in position, so it won't be easy to drop in. And even if she does, is the Mothership Core in place, or does she have it with the army? She has it with the army. Okay, so she can even always, if need be, just teleport back towards the base that's going to be attacked. But yeah, okay, now we only have a few units over here. The mines, unfortunately, not burrowing. And we have just a few more units over here. Actually, Sylvanas would have to... Yeah, okay, that's just GG. She would just need to lure the units back into her own mines, but there's just not enough defensive units back there. She loses that base over there, and it's GG. We're in Galactic Process, the second map of this Best of 5 series. In the first playoffs of the first season of the Female Starcraft League, spawning to the bottom left-hand side in blue is our Terran Sylvanas, and to the top right-hand side in purple, playing Protoss, it's Koshkii. So, gateway already in the making, same as the barracks. Nothing all too important happening right now. We don't have any proxy shenanigans, which actually would be kind of interesting, I think, out of Sylvanas, just going for some sort of proxy build. I think that would be really interesting to see that out of her, just trying to cheese at least once. I think if I were up against a supposedly better player in a tournament, I would of course just prepare the hell out of one cheese. I would just practice at least one cheese for that series with the help of somebody else or just using VODs or whatever. But yeah, that would be something I'd totally do, just to be able to throw it out at some point. Since this system actually allows to plan for this, I mean, you could just prepare it on one map that's pretty common, that nobody ever vetoes. And where you know, okay, either the opponent chooses it first, or if I lose, I can choose it next. And then just, like I said, just do the heck out of it. And this is actually quite nicely done over here. The command center actually getting actually even, which I think that was really a mistake here. But that was what I kept saying time and time again, that Sylvanas just loves to throw down her command center right at the natural base location. She normally never builds it up here unless she really sees a threat coming early on. So yeah, Koshkii was just trying to be a little bit annoying and trying to deny that command center, or just delaying it a little bit by eating away on that SCV with the help of the probe. But then it seems as if Sylvanas just misclicked a little bit and even cancelled the complete command center, which was a bit unfortunate for her. She probably just wanted to get that SCV away from the command center to help to kill off the probe, but then actually accidentally just cancel it, which is of course a big loss for her right now. In the meantime, the Reaper just got one kill, so one probe at least died. A little bit of revenge, but I actually think, yeah, no, that's it. No, actually, not in the main base. This Reaper just killed the one probe down here. So that was the only probe kill this Reaper has so far. There's a depth already out, so this Reaper has to retreat. And actually, Koshkii, if she really committed to it, could actually just chase that Reaper with the help of the Shade, but decides to not do that. So in the meantime, we have the common building set up as usual. We have the Vortex Bay and then the Twilight Council right after it, while she just macros up at her second base. In the meantime, Sylvanas' command center, having been delayed a little bit, now finally gets its orbital command and will now be able to throw down a few more mules and also produce a few more SCVs in order to get that base saturated as well and to get that income up. So we see the little income boost coming in now once the mule just gets its first shipment towards the orbital command. So in the meantime, we have, it seems, the Reaper in once more, finally dies. But let's have a look at what Sylvanas saw, and actually she got everything. So she... Oh, did she get the Dark Shrine? Once more! Oh my god, is Koshkii doing it again? Okay, she didn't really see the Dark Shrine, but she might assume that it's going to happen due to seeing the Twilight Council, and maybe, of course, knowing what Koshkii usually is doing. What the hell am I doing here? English-wise. So, there's the Warp Prism. Dark Shrine will take some time before it's finished. Does Sylvanas know? She doesn't, and maybe she's not even oh yeah, she does. Never mind, she's already producing an engineering bay. Don't really know if she's just guessing it or if it's just the safety engineering bay for what the heck anyways. I don't really know what's coming, so I might as well just prepare for DTs and the drops. She should of course again just get her... Oh, she doesn't. Which is actually quite interesting. This time around, it seems she doesn't want to get the Cyclone. And, we'll see how this is going to work out for her. Okay, missile turrets are now getting thrown down, at least at the main base, now also in the natural. And I think if the army is just positioned right about here, the vision of the turret should just be enough. But if like a DT comes in from here, I think it should still not be seen. But it doesn't even matter, because the Warp Prism will just transport them right inside the base. So there's at least detection over here, but there's no army units whatsoever. Sylvanas didn't, I think, really know that was going to happen. She might have expected it, and now 1DT even chipping away at that tech lab, which is is actually the more problematic part, but Koshkii just has to retreat. The DTs get finally pushed back for now, but they both survived, and that's of course also pretty hurtful for Sylvanas. She also had to stim her whole army units, so they are very weak right now, but the first few medevacs finally come out, and it seems as if this time around Koshkii just wants to split up her units. Okay, a few more workers die before the army finally gets down, but again, the Dark Templar just barely seems to be getting away. Maybe she will just sacrifice another stim. It seems as if she just wants to... Okay. Yeah, and it seems as if she just wants to go for a push right now. And I think that's actually a very good idea. I mean, last time around, Koshkii just forced her to stay in her main base, back in her own base for quite some time, until she finally had the bigger economy and the bigger army. But this time around, Sylvanas doesn't want to play the same game. This time around, she just managed to bulk up a really intimidating army. Yes, there are Dark Templars out, but there should also be some scans available. And this army with Stim is actually quite fearsome. So let's see if she can actually take everything out, but she just moves right into the photon overcharges. Oh, and the DTs, there's the scan, finally takes out the DTs, but like I said before, DTs also deal damage, even if they are discovered. So, this push really didn't do what Sylvanas actually wanted it to do. I mean, she traded off most of the important army. Actually, she didn't. There's still one Immortal alive. We have 2 Archons in the mix. I think only 1 Immortal died and a few Gateway units. So that's actually a good catch here, just catching a few of these units off guard right out on that map. So nice little push there by Sylvanas. Don't really know if she should just try to walk in that once more. The speedlots finally have their speed finished. So yeah, that's no way she can actually deal with this army force. Tries to stutter step as good as she can. Even has concussive shells available. So a few of these army units actually get slowed down, but that's just too much firepower. The Sylvanas can't really hope to make everything happen, and even tips out. It's Frost. And spawning to the bottom right hand side in blue is our Terran player for Euronics, the Austrian Sylvanas. And to the bottom left hand side in purple, playing for Rival Games as Protoss, it's Koshkii. And she's leading 2-0. She only needs one more game to close it out and advance to the semifinals. Probe already on its way to scout the opponent. Will, unfortunately for Koshkii, only get the worst scout, the last scout. So that's always a bit annoying if you want to prepare what your opponent is doing and then you just scout them on the last position. But yeah, I mean, most of the time it's not game ending. Against some cheese it can be. It can be pretty frustrating to just get the last scout. So, Sylvanas just, well, actually not kind of doing her usual stuff this time around, since it's such a big map. She goes for the command center first on the low ground and then only moves into 2 barracks. Yeah, that's of course, I mean, building only 1 barracks from here on out would just be way greedy. I mean, then you would just have nothing to defend some sort of early push that might be coming out of your opponent, since you don't really know that yet. I mean, Sylvanas has not even scouted the map yet. Her vision is just reaches only up till the part of her natural that the SCV actually provides vision of. So that's actually the only thing she sees right now. So Koshkii now knows where her opponent is, hasn't really seen what build her opponent was going for, and that Sylvanas actually went for a command center first, while she herself just took the safer route by gateway expanding. So now finally Sylvanas already trying to saturate her natural base, also going into a bunker. Of course, since she will have only a few units for now, she of course just wants to... Ooh, actually the SCV even gets in. Well, Sylvanas just tries to micro around as good as she can and finally gets it before Koshkii actually gets a good vision of how many gases Sylvanas has already taken. So this might keep her a little bit in the dark, but seeing the early orbital command and also seeing the 2 barracks on the high ground should actually give Koshkii enough information to follow up with her plan. And we might even see DTs once more. It's robotics facility, it's a Twilight Council, so we could end up with another DT harassment. It caused Sylvanas quite a lot of problems, so it might not be the worst decision to do that once more. I mean, if you have a build that works, why not just try it again? Especially if you're up 2-0 and you can even afford to lose another game to your opponent, because finally they have adapted to whatever you're doing. So, factory almost built. We have another factory in the making as well. So this is actually going to be quite interesting. Tech lab here. Sylvanas actually delays her possibilities for medevacs for quite some time to what seems to be a big tank push here, I feel, with the help of some Marines. So we'll see how this is actually going to work out. I'm actually quite interesting. We actually never saw Sylvanas do this, so yeah, I'm really waiting for it. So, has actually already prepared that tech lab over here, so she will be able to fly that factory over here maybe? Or does she want to throw... No, actually she does. That would have been quite odd. So, and another missile turret here as well. So in the meantime, we have the Dark Shrine in the making, so Koshkii doesn't want to change it up one bit, just wants to go on, just wants to stay with her plan so far, since it's taken her that far. And again, quite nicely done by Sylvanas here, just has a Cyclone out here and a few Marines, so she should be able to intercept a Warp Prism once it wants to fly in. But of course it might also just unload somewhere, and the DTs again will just deal quite a heavy amount of damage. So in the meantime, Sylvanas is also completely, is even overproducing a lot of SCVs here. She doesn't even need those to saturate her bases anymore. Okay, nicely done here by Sylvanas. This time around with 2 Cyclones on the way. It shouldn't be all too problematic for her to shoot that pesky Warp Prism out of the skies, but yeah, one Dark Templar is now just being positioned down at the 3rd base and the other one at the other 3rd base location. So it seems as if Koshkii just wants to expand, lay back, make sure that her opponent doesn't get up a 3rd base of her own without her knowing, and will probably even delay it by quite some time once a unit moves down here and just wants to plant it. Or if an orbital command is just being built inside the main base, then just tries to fly down here and then has to realize that it just can't actually land. Also pretty annoying. You again just have to sacrifice another scan. You also have to put your army in place in order to take that Dark Templar out. So yeah, it just costs you a lot of time that your orbital could actually already spend mining and throwing down mules. So pretty annoying there. 3rd Nexus almost finished for Koshkii. So again, she's going to lead the... she's going to take the economic lead here. And is also going into Robotics Bay. I don't really know if this is going to be for either Colossi or Disruptors. In most of the cases, I've seen a lot of Protoss players rather go into Colossi, since they are usually the more reliable damage dealer. I mean, a good Disruptor hit can actually just totally turn the game into your favor. But a missed Disruptor hit can also just ruin the game in an instant for you. So that's normally a risk a lot of players just don't want to take. So we usually see a lot more Colossi in the game. And maybe after having like 4 or 6 Colossi, then people finally change into Disruptors. Only using Disruptors if they are very far behind and it's just the last desperate measure to maybe get a comeback into the game. Actually, Sylvanas is looking quite okay. She should already producing a 3rd base, so there it is flying. But yeah, now we're going to see that situation where it's trying to land. But actually quite nicely done here by Sylvanas. Oh, I thought. Okay, she's already moving a few of these SCBs. Maybe some of them are actually getting killed. Oh, this Dark Templar is on hold position, but now she finally realizes. Takes out one, takes out another one, takes out a 3rd one, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And now finally the Dark Templar gets taken out. But it's done its damage. And it's also spotted the 3rd orbital command, so now Koshkii actually knows everything and even did the additional damage. So nice for her. Okay, I like this sensor tower quite a lot, and we've seen Sylvanas do this quite often. So if, for example, a few units just try to sneak their way into the main base, Sylvanas will just have a way bigger time window to react. So nicely done, and she has a lot of cyclones. It's the mass cyclone builds. I think we might be seeing Nathania's play here, but we're actually not. It's Sylvanas, and she just goes for mass cyclones and tanks. This could actually turn out quite interesting if Sylvanas really manages to get a good siege tank position a little bit further away from the opponent's army, and then just luring all of these units using the lock-on into the tank siege line while firing with a lock-on that could actually deal a lot of damage and maybe even take out those units fairly easily. So we'll see if this unorthodox tactic by Sylvanas is actually working, or is actually going to work or not. A few more liberators as well, so it's mostly a mech play we're actually seeing out of Sylvanas. Quite interesting. Okay, this seems to be a misrally. I think Sylvanas actually wanted to place this down here, but then just suddenly like rallied all of the command centers over to that base, and now this base is also flying towards the third base location. Or she actually just wants to take that one at the fourth. Could also be quite interesting, actually. Okay, Koshkii in the meantime also doesn't want to expand towards her opponent, and also takes a fourth base over here, and slowly but steadily, no, okay, there we see it, it was just a misrally. But yeah, it could have been reasonable to just say, no, I actually don't want to expand towards my opponent, and since I'm not planning to use this route as a harassment route, saving or just defending this command center down here actually gets a bit more difficult to do. So sometimes this actually is the better position. So I like also that Koshkii is using a lot of pylons, or is actually building a lot of pylons and proxy pylons outside on the map, just to get earlier vision of the army movement, but also being capable of morphing something in, or just warping something in. I mean, yes, it takes longer to warp in at a single pylon, but it's still possible, and it still gives you a lot of opportunity. So in the meantime, Koshkii is just preparing for the late game by building a fleet beacon. She wants to have she knows that she's probably going to face a lot of liberators in the late game, so she also wants to get out a few tempests, maybe even earlier than needed. But yeah, why not? I mean, if you have them early enough, that's quite okay. The only thing missing is actually the Stargate. Where is it? Or where are they? Because I think a few more Stargates would actually be a good thing to have. And there it is. It's only one for now, but it's probably there's probably going to be more later on. And now we see a full drawn-out macro game. Not that much action, I have to admit that, but yeah, still, I mean, it's looking quite okay for Sylvanas. Unless for the upgrades. That's actually the only thing she's missing right now. And she hasn't actually used the potential of her mech army for now. It seems as if she just wants to max out, make sure she has a good economy to maybe replace a lot of these units if she should lose some of them. But actually, I think that this army composition could work out quite nicely if microed correctly, and that might be the tipping point. It's again about execution, and I don't really know how often Sylvanas has actually practiced this build. So she got up to a lot of mech units quite early in the game, so her macro has just been brilliant so far, but I think she hasn't had much experience with this army composition at all, so where to use it, when to engage, and where to engage, and how to engage, microing all of these units. She also has some Hellbats in the mix as well. They might actually deal quite well with these Zealots rushing in, or just at least buffer a little bit so that the rest of the army units just can deal their damage. Actually quite nice how these Cyclones just try to get through that small gap that these siege tanks provide. And now finally Sylvanas is maxed, Koshkii as well. Koshkii has the better upgrades. One mech upgrade is through, the Infernal Pre-Igniter, the blue flame for the Hellbats is also done, and there's the first Tempest incoming. No, actually the second Tempest, never mind. So this is going to be an interesting fight here, and like I said before, it's all about execution. Let's see if Sylvanas can actually do the necessary micro, or if everything just will melt away. Liberators have already sieged up. A lot of units still stand in the liberation zones, but most of it is just running and tearing through the mech army of Sylvanas like butter. GG, and Koshkii takes the third game as well.